Hey, everybody. Good morning. If you are in the Pacific, it's the morning and it's 9:18. East, it's 12:18 p.m. Some of you, a scant few, like maybe that many, that's about it, have heard about something that now a lot of people are going to hear about because of my involvement. Like maybe in that many, that's about it. Have heard about something that now a lot of people are going to hear about because of my involvement. Yep. And it is this right here. Started with this tweet that was issued by Jason Cole, who covered the NFL. And it is this, and let's get a closer look at it. It reads, California developer, this is October 14th, Rick Tripp is at least the second person / group to enter the bidding for the Oakland's half and development rights to the Coliseum site. Tripp posted on Facebook earlier today, just submitted our updated privately funded stadium proposal to the city of Oakland. Really? Okay. So you would say, well, Zinni, what are you driving at? Well, and you see this little note is a cautionary tale to Jason. Jason, I see you fell for the banana in the tailpipe. Ha ha ha. A reference to the scene in Beverly Hills Cop where Eddie Murphy put a banana in the tailpipe of the detective's car to keep them off the trail of where he was really going, right? This is the banana in the tailpipe, all right? Now, you would say, why do I make that assertion? And I would say, you are asking a very good question. It's because, well, I have experience with Rick Tripp, and the experience is right here in this video that goes back to March 15th of 2015 when Rick had partnered with Deshaun Dixon on the Stadium 365 project in Oakland. And we had a great, initially quite exciting 30-minute conversation. Here it is. Folks, this is the first three-way video blog conversation. Let me say this first. Not the whole thing, just part of it, but pay attention, 007. Pay attention. So this is cool. So I'm going to start right off the bat. We're going to go move left to right. Deshaun, introduce yourself.
Hello, Deshaun Dixon.
Rick.
Rick Tripp.
And gentlemen, talk about your idea for a baseball stadium in Oakland for the Athletics. And who'd like to go first?
I would say that's Deshaun's baby because it's his concept. I'm in a supporting role.
You got it. Deshaun, it's your platform. You're on.
Well, I think a stadium for the Oakland A's in downtown is the most viable solution, the most viable site. First off, it frees up Coliseum City for the Raiders. And a lot of things are going on right now downtown that the stadium complements very nicely.
Now I'm going to stop it right there out of respect for Deshaun, because this is not about that. It's about Rick Tripp. So let me fast forward so that you can get to know Rick a little bit better from this perspective. Right about here.
Things are what can be considered team revenue and what can be considered other than team revenue.
I built a computer model on it.
I saw your website. So you know as well as anyone that you'll hear people talk about the naming rights and the PSLs and everything all the way down to pouring rights and parking revenues and everything in between. And you well know, you can read that list and realize that no owner in his right mind is going to agree to some of those things that will come out of community meetings from a layman's perspective. When it comes to financing, there are certain alternatives that have not been deployed for any stadium anywhere that I think we can bring to the table.
Now, keep this in mind. I want you to pay attention. Pay attention, okay? Pay attention. All right, here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
One of our political problems is finding a jurisdiction that will accept some of our financing elements as the first one up.
Can you elaborate?
That haven't been proven in the real world just yet.
Can you elaborate? Here's why I ask. Because, for example, in the Carson situation, Goldman Sachs announced they were involved very recently. Now, the mantra has been we're going to do private financing. But, look, I've been alive, I can now say a long time. And when I see that I work with Goldman. When I hear that, I hear a lease revenue bond. That's a public financing.
It is.
And so my thought is, okay, and the reason why I say this that way is I tried to get Goldman to do a truly private financing deal in 1997 when I was representing Elihu, and I got as far as a good month and a half of working with them. I made presentation to the council committee, and then I got steered to the immunity department, and I was pissed. I was so pissed I wanted to put a fist through the wall. Because, and the reason why I say it like that is because, and this is never talked about, but municipal finance organizations put money in the political coffers, and they expect money back for their muni projects, their public financings, and they won't do a private financing. Am I speaking out of school? Am I talking about something that's being blocked because of politics in that way?
Speaking out of school, let me go back and just address the idea, if I may, of 100% private financing, because that is a mantra that we stand on. And I believe we can deliver on that. Some of the things that folks don't bring into account when someone says 100% private financing, they may be talking about 100% private dollars, but they'll conveniently shuffle under the rug the land grants, the infrastructure bonding, the improvements that are public obligations, or a disposition of public resources in land grants. Those sort of things they can readily say are not. They can say they're not public dollars. They can say no public dollars go into this, but in fact, it's a huge impact on the overall capital stack that it takes to put one of these things together.
MetLife Stadium, perfect example. Yep.
There you go. So when you talk about 100% private funding, that's exactly what we're looking to do. If there's an asset when I say an asset, real estate typically, if there's an asset to be acquired or right of way to be acquired, what we want to be able to do and prove as a business model in the real world that can be done at fair market value, because it's a public asset. The public should be compensated for any taking or allocation of real estate or infrastructure to a stadium. We want to compensate the jurisdiction, in this case the city, for any of those dollars that would normally be on the public side. In trying to do that, you have to come up with some real out-of-the-box thinking. And I believe that we've done that. It's been about 2 or 3 weeks since the last time DeJean and I spoke about the tentative term sheet that we can put forward to the city that, at least in an overview, the 30,000-foot view manner, itemizes where our money comes from, how any debt service obligations are paid, and how the taxpayers in the city of Oakland are not on the hook for that. Now, I put off sending that to DeJean, and it's a document I need to get in his hands so he can post on his website, and I'd be anxious to see your review of that document. I should have it here in another week or so. I have some issues with the footprint that we would talk about for ancillary development that goes on with the stadium at Estuary Park. But once I resolve those issues in my mind, and I can do that as a tentative document, because as you well know, a term sheet is simply a starting point for negotiations.
Right.
So we'll set forward the term sheet once I have that footprint and land use footprint that I would like to see in place. And DeJean is more than welcome to put it up on his website. And you'll see that some of the things that we can tap into that haven't been done before, and it's a long, drawn-out explanation. I'd rather you read it in the document yourself first. Things like real estate brokerage revenues. And how do you attach that and apply those revenues to a stadium?
Wait, it sounds like you're making a real estate investment a trust of a sort.
Not necessarily. Quite a bit different than that. And there are some things that are going to be controversial in the package. One of those is And let me take a step back and kind of explain this. Anytime you're trying to put together $600 million for a stadium or $1.5 billion for an overall development, you don't just go find a way to pay back $1.5 billion. There's not one single way to do that. You go to multiple revenue streams, some of the things we've already talked about, but you can't touch, if you're going to keep the team economically viable, you can't touch what is typically and historically team revenue. You have to bring to the table things that are not team revenue. And you'll see some of those things in the term sheet that I believe that we can bring to the table. And we have the backing, at least tentatively now, we have the backing of mid-size, and it's a very big bank nonetheless, but a mid-sized Middle Eastern bank to do this project. They understand what we're trying to do.
Now I'm going to stop it right there, okay? There are a number of flags right there that at the time went right by. First of all, he said he had the plan and mentioned real estate transactions, but he never explained. He said they're new to the table. They've never been done before. That's the first flag. And I knew it then. I was just being nice. But it wasn't a central issue with me. I took it up with Deshaun later. Deshaun and Rick met at a meeting. Deshaun had the stadium design idea, and Rick said, I'll help you advance it. But Rick had other motives. Okay? Let's continue this before I show you the next step here.
Never been in Oakland a money problem, whether it's Raiders at CC or A's at EP or wherever you want to put them. It's never been a money problem. Oakland is an attractive city for investment. Bottom line, it's always been a political problem in the city of Oakland. And to Floyd's credit, he's the first one, because I tried. He's the first one that's got the city and the county to stop acting like they're married people that want a divorce.
Now I'm going to stop it right there because I want to inform you of something. He mentioned Floyd. He's talking about Floyd Kephart. All right. Floyd Kephart at the time had an exclusive negotiating agreement to build a stadium that would retain the Raiders. Now, Floyd didn't have the money that he claimed to have. Also, the design that Rick Tripp put on his Facebook page was lifted right from what Floyd Kephart did. Okay. And straight up from it. And what I'm talking about is this is the one that was posted on Twitter that Jason Cole alluded to and tagged earlier to reopen this live stream. All right. It's the same design. No work was done, but to the uneducated eye like yours, guess what? He did work. No. Let's continue. Okay, let's continue.
He's managed to accomplish that. He's got him at the table talking, and I think Floyd is going to go a long, long ways now that he's got that done. But when I say private financing, if you would kind of bear with me for another week or two till I get that document in Deshaun's hands, I'd love for you to analyze it, tear it apart, throw the hard questions at me, and I think I can back them up to show you that we're not putting the taxpayer in the city of Oakland at any risk whatsoever.
And I'm going to stop right there because, folks, when he finally sent me the document that I requested, it wasn't what I expected to see, which was a spreadsheet, okay? It wasn't anything like spreadsheets that I presented on my show regarding, for example, the Raiders Stadium or Oakland A's, right? It wasn't anything like that. In point of fact, I'm sorry because it's funny just recalling this whole deal, but in point of fact, it wasn't a spreadsheet at all. It was ridiculous. It was a sheet of development steps, like a punch sheet, right? It wasn't at all a true spreadsheet that had anything to do anything to do with stadium development. It didn't show dollar flows. Like, for example, this document that I'm going to show you right here, it didn't look like this. Okay, for example, bear with me for 1 second while while I call this up, folks. But it didn't look like this presentation that I'm showing you right here. Voila, like that. All right, a spreadsheet. Okay, which shows in this instance, this is Raiders Stadium, originally dated March 19th, 2017, and updated. Construction costs, land, infrastructure, contingency, total project costs, funding sources, total stadium net project revenue, annual event revenue, non-event revenue, whether you're going to be red and black notes, all that stuff. No. Okay. Rick Tripp had none of that. You understand what I'm saying? None of that. It was this sheet, a developer sheet, punch list of general terms of things to be done. Like he had lifted it out of some book or something like that, or some online document, and then sent it to me as a document. It was not a spreadsheet. It showed no dollar flows. It showed no revenue and expense calculations. It showed nothing. You understand what I'm saying? Nothing. I first called Rick, I'll never forget this. I said, Rick, what you sent to me is not a spreadsheet. Where is this? Oh, we're still working on it. We're still getting it together. Okay. So I called again. Where is it? Well, it's coming. Then I got nothing from him. And I hit the ceiling. I hit the fucking ceiling. I'm saying it just like that. Okay. Because then I started to, really wonder, what kind of track record does this guy have? So, let's ask that question, right? And let's go back and actually say, what kind of track record does Rick Tripp really have? And I mean, does he claims to have a developer track record, right? All right. But let's look, okay? If we go over here, and if I search for Rick Tripp developer, what do I find? I find Rick Tripp owner, Tripp development. So let's click on LinkedIn, okay? There's his face, all right? We have 5 mutual connections. But what does it read? Read this, 28 years. I have been, he writes, in the real estate development and construction industry for over 30 years. Tripp Development was formed in 1992, and over the years has undertaken development and construction projects through California, as well as areas of Washington and Arizona. Our development company has evolved to include professional sports ventures, plural, as well as television, entertainment, and film projects. In 2009 to 2011, we chose to participate in Sacramento City Council's task force to develop a new sports and entertainment complex to serve as a home to the NBA, Sacramento Kings. Beyond Sacramento, our development team is exploring the strategies to apply our funding mechanism to professional sports arenas in stadiums in San Diego and Oakland. We offer the only arena development option that requires absolutely zero taxpayer dollars, no public land grants, and no publicly funded infrastructure improvements. All right. He says all of this, but folks, let's check this out. When I go back here, all right, and I scroll down, I ask this is current, all right, but then, all right, and then Jason Cole, then Tripp Development Company, Cambria area, all right, which, all right, unalignable, okay, real estate, all right, and then email and phone, then Graystar Worldwide, all right, but I don't find anything about any other ballpark that he's been involved in. All right. Even, Ballpark Wiz from 2012 says developer offers to build new A's ballpark in Oakland. All right. We don't know any details, but he's involved. He surfaces here. Okay. There's nothing tying him even to Sacramento. It's all window dressing. So all of a sudden, after all these years, after all of this yada, 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 here comes Rick Tripp again in Oakland only. Folks, he is not who he says he is. You understand? Rick Tripp is not who he says he is. You take him seriously, you're a fool. He is involved in this for an entirely other set of reasons. I have theories, okay, which I will offer. But All I'm explaining is what is right here in our face. And there's a reason why Rick didn't reach out to me as opposed to reaching out to, Jason. Because he knows that Jason doesn't know any better. And he knows that I do. Okay? Jason, your first move should have been to contact me. The egg is on your face. Now, let's continue. Let's go down here. Not every idea is a good one. Okay? And he says, this is over a new ballpark. All right? Everything about Rick Tripp is about getting media attention. But it's nothing about the media actually trying to vet, the white media actually trying to vet him. To say, hey, look, is this guy really going on? Press Democrat, okay? That was Lowell Kahn, all right? They all give him, I call it the white credit. Oh, he says he's got money. He must have it. As opposed to, say, Ray Bobbitt's group, who, even though they have Loop Capital involved, and anybody who knows Oakland development knows that Alan Dones has buildings around town he can point to and say, I did that. All right. Among others. And then, of course, Robert Bobb has the credit of helping to develop as the CAO of Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C., the stadium for the Nationals, and bringing the Nationals from Montreal, where they were the Expos, to Washington. All these people have solid track records, but because they're black, and because Oakland doesn't have really a solid, sports commission to really take a look and be the intake for projects like the one that I started, okay, because that's not there, all right? What we get is this free-for-all, which doesn't ask the proper questions. First of all, any development project in this that the mayor hasn't seen doesn't exist. And Libby hasn't seen this. By contrast, Libby knows about the Ray Bobbitt project. They've already been in conversation with the city of Oakland and city of Oakland officials, like Betsy Lake. All right? So my point is, who's a real estate representative. So my point is, Rick Tripp is not real. And his idea for real estate financing is pie in the sky. It's this. He has no track record for it whatsoever. This is 2020. But it seems like Rick only surfaces when it comes to development projects in 2012 and 2015. And boom, note that Rick Tripp did not surface when the Coliseum originally was negotiating with just the A's. All right. But the minute a black development firm became involved, all right, then he surfaces. Okay. Then he surfaces. There are some people who try to get involved in Oakland business when someone's black because they don't think the black person should be involved, or they think the black person is doing something nefarious and they want to catch them and then say to, FBI, hey, look what we found. All right. And look, there have been people in Oakland who have not acted right, regardless of color, with respect to development over our history. However, there have been many more who have acted correctly. Many more. But what happens in all of these cases, there's somebody who gets involved who claims that they're a developer, but in point of fact has zero track record. And their thought is, well, if this black person can get involved, and from that white person's perspective, that black person has no track record, they can too, because there must be some sort of politically shady thing going on that they really want to uncover. That's my theory. All right. I'm not saying that Rick is actually doing that, but it sure as hell looks like it. I had a guy contact me, Tariq Hassan. I want you to get me in to see Libby. I said, I can't get you in to see the mayor. Oh, yes, you can. I said, I can't. Why are you calling me? This is during the time after Mark Davis asked me to come up with a plan for the Raiders, right? Why are you calling me? I said. So you all call us, I got this tip, I got this idea and all this stuff, okay? And I said, look, you know what? You call me at the odd hours in the morning, at night. You're always asking me to see if I can get you in to see the mayor. I can't. The mayor doesn't want to see you, and I'm not that kind of person. I'm a media guy. I'm not a lobbyist. All right? That's not what I do. I don't want to get paid to do that. You understand? I have my own media company now. All right? No. So after about a half a year of this, he finally backed off and started acting normal because I told him, this was the kicker. I said, look, I think that you're a person involved with the FBI that's trying to make somebody black look bad. Oh, no. I said, look, I am going to put you out there, as I'm doing right now, to tell people about you, to get you to act right. You need to act right. All right? I can't get you in to see the mayor. I'm not the person to do that. You want to see the mayor? You call the mayor yourself. You hear me? You call the mayor yourself and you do it. Don't ask me to do it out of the blue like you think that I got some keys to your kingdom that I don't want to have or be involved in. No, don't do that, and don't treat any other black person like that either. Same thing to you, Rick. Okay? This stuff is wrong. And for the media to not call it out is absolutely ridiculous. I'm calling it out because I have my own media company. And I have a track record with Rick. He didn't produce anything that was real. This is serious business. This is very serious business. You don't do this sort of thing and waste the time of people just because. All right? This is the kind of thing that makes Oakland look bad. It's the kind of thing that's got to stop. It's got to stop like yesterday. You hear what I'm saying? Like yesterday. There is no reason for this except, again, hey, Oakland doesn't have a formal process. It's a free-for-all involving, too many politicians, okay? Too many, okay? You need a sports commission to vet people. And if the A's are involved, you need to send everything to the A's out of respect for them and take it from there. Otherwise, the A's are going to think, what the heck is going on here? Okay? If I were Dave Cavall, that's exactly what I would think. What the heck is going on here? And I would be livid. Dave, don't be livid. I understand. Don't be livid, okay? It's the whole banana in the tailpipe routine from Beverly Hills Cop. Only the guy playing Eddie Murphy doesn't exactly look like Eddie Murphy. All right? Don't believe it, okay? Do not believe it for one bit. Don't believe it for 1 second. All right? At all. At all. So let's go back to the Stadium 365 discussion that I showed you earlier for some more fun and games with Mr. Tripp here, okay? And note, hey, I'm not saying things. I've got receipts, as they say. All right? All right? Because this comes from a person who for a long time has wanted to hope that, yeah, this was right. This was something that, was going to benefit Deshaun Dixon, and it didn't. All right? And at the end of the day, Deshaun should have, been treated much better than he was. At any rate, here, excuse me, didn't mean to get so emotional about it, but I am. Deshaun's a good guy. And as I say, he's a genius, brilliant architect who never really got a chance to show his wares or get somebody to green light it. All right. Look.
He's got that done. But when I say private financing, if you would kind of bear with me for another week or two till I get that document in Deshaun's hands, I'd love for you to analyze it, tear it apart, throw the hard questions at me, and I think I can back them up to show you that we're not putting the taxpayer of the city of Oakland at any risk whatsoever.
Fair enough.
Blah, 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 blah.
Waiting for it. We'll attach that to this video as a link, so that right about the time you talk about it, it pops up and the person can go and look at it at city62.com.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. Absolutely. Do you know if what the timetable is in terms of what are the next steps? Let me put it that way. We mentioned the term sheet. What do you see as the next steps in total? And within that, have you talked with any Oakland electeds about this at all?
The last people I spoke with was Gene Kwan, and when I say Gene Kwan, who I really mean is Deanna Santana from Fred Blackwell, the administrative side. And Gene was a prize to those conversations by Deanna and Fred. Of course, all three of those folks are gone.
Right.
So the new administration, I've made no inroads, no outreach to, because in not putting the cart before the horse, I wanted Stadium 365 to be out there. I wanted to create the finance document to be an attachment to that, and then approach the electeds with that body of work.
What about
I know some of the folks who are still in office have been here for the long term. Nate, for one, and a number of the other folks who are players in this. Rebecca, they've been in office for a good bit of time, and they'll continue in office, and we can tap into previous conversations with them.
What about the council president, Lynette Gibson McElhaney, who was also council presiding over that area we're talking about?
Again, I have not.
Actually, it's more her. Yeah, it's her seeping into Gallo, but it's more her at that point.
I haven't had those conversations.
Okay.
You know,
So Lynette, you're watching this. We got you in mind. Don't worry.
the real story here, in my mind, is that the story is DeJohn Dixon and a vision for Estuary Park and a solution that works. I could make a TV show out of that. but I'm telling you, we could make a celebrity out of this young man. But that's the real story. And I go back to money is not a problem to Oakland. Money flows to Oakland right now from a private development side. It's purely political. I want Deshaun's work to be out there so the public can grasp that work, so the electeds can grasp that work. Then we'll back it up with a financing structure that anyone and everyone is willing to throw stones at. And believe me, in my process in Sacramento and my process in San Diego, I know that the higher on the ladder you go, the more likely you are to get the bricks thrown at you. So I've got a pretty thick skin about people trying to tear apart my document that I know will work to build Mr.
Yeah, but here's the thing, folks. He never submitted a document for me to tear apart or anybody else. Blah, 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 blah. Let's continue.
Dixon Stadium.
Well, I think more importantly, it's not a matter of tearing apart a document or design, but a matter of tweaking them so they can work better, right?
Better term, and I guess I go back to the introductory page of these submittals that I've had, where it talks about bringing all stakeholders to the table. If you alienate any of the stakeholders, and I know from experience, you can't quite figure out who all those stakeholders are, because there will be a perceived larger stakeholder and a perceived smaller stakeholder, but there should be no larger or smaller.
Well,
all stakeholders have to be valued at the table.
You got to befriend the Vivian Kahns of the world out there.
All stakeholders have to feel valued. It's as simple as that.
And I say that because I'm going to send this to Vivian and say, hey, Vivian, get behind the project.
I appreciate any work you can do in that regard.
Hey, Deshaun, do you have a physical model that people can...
And so I'm going to stop right there. See, folks, I was a proponent for what they were trying to do because Deshaun is truly a design genius. But when I started getting, again, the red flag for me was when he didn't send back. And look, folks, I want to say something. I didn't ask to be compensated for that. For anybody who says, oh, he wanted us to hire him. No. In fact, the video I did it was news. Okay? So anybody who says that to you, that's your first flag. Anybody who writes that, that's your first clue that A, they don't know what the blank they're talking about, and B, they themselves are not real, and C, they don't know what they're doing to begin with. Just saying, all right? Because there are people who are going to come up with BS just throw you off the trail. The fact is, Rick should not be involved in this at all. He's like the person that throws out oil slick for you to slip on, to get distracted. And again, why he really does this is the question that everybody should be asking. Why? Because if you check his track record, he is only focused, all right, only focused on Oakland. And it's really weird, okay? Let's get some of the comments here. She says, hope we can save the Coliseum, especially when COVID is over and people will be looking around wondering where the Warriors and Raiders are. We need a plan to bring sports back. He also then says Libby is okay, but the only thing she's doing is killing Telegraph and International Boulevard bike lanes and serial barriers. Corey says, I wonder what Libby's real interest is in what Ray Bobbin and company are bringing to the table, and now at least trying to. Well, I don't think there's the real interest is anything other than the fact that they're an African-American group that wants to have African-American ownership, and there's nothing wrong with that, and that's a great thing. Maybe Rick is getting involved and thinking that he can help and be, but you know what? Every time I try to legitimize what he's trying to do in my head, based on my own personal experience, I just can't go there. That's me. Okay. That's my choice. That's my right. I can't do that, but it's from experience. Let's go back to, my talk.
Touch, or will you have one at some point in the near future?
Sure, I love physical models. That's something that we learned to do in architecture school. I can't wait to stick my hand into that. The design is always evolving. The designer's problem is design is never done. Design is done enough to a point where we can do a tangible physical model on it, yes, and all the areas around it that we're trying to do to make it complementary to 365.
Did you have a particular baseball stadium in mind when you put this concept together, this design?
Yes, well, we took a lot of different baseball concepts. We wanted to see what worked. We know that now, just the way baseball is evolutionizing, they're not in the rural part of cities anymore. They want to be right within the urban fabric. And you even have some stadiums that did it right the first time and they don't have to change it again. Chicago, Wrigley, Boston, and, I love Pittsburgh Stadium. St. Louis was a stadium that we looked at. Definitely San Diego. And we basically want to step out of San Francisco's shadow as a city of Oakland. We want the stadium to be rival to San Francisco Giants Stadium. And, just to be as good or if not better in the long run, but make it for the city of Oakland, specifically the way the residents and the fans are and the way they carry themselves in their character to express that in only the way that you can do in Oakland. And hopefully that's something that the Major League Baseball will take into consideration or embrace. There's some of the moves that we're trying to do.
I'm going to let that be the final statement because we're past the 30-minute mark. It's going to be a great long video, but not the first time we'll talk. We'll be back. Anything else you want to add in closing?
I'd just like to touch base with you a little bit later on, Zane, and we can talk about real-world application of new solutions.
We got a lot to talk about. Dijon as well. Hey, thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, so there you go, folks. Beware, all right? She says, it's okay, Zane. Tell people how you feel. It doesn't feel right, then go with your gut. Weigh all options. Well, you know what? This is an option that's been there before. And again, all I ask anybody to do is go back and just, actually just look at his actual track record. It's not there. He only shows this. He's got this thing about Oakland. All right. And why? Okay. Why? That's the biggest question of all. But Ray Bobbitt, everybody else should just not have him involved. And that's just me. Okay. And I hate to say that about a project or person, but every time I think about this issue and him, I keep going back to something I cannot avoid, that I've never been able to avoid, with this project, and it's pure and simple. Once again, it's this track record. Okay, he's only focused on Oakland. All right, and then when you click on this, he writes, this is my objective. My primary objective in the near term is to develop, deploy, improve a private funding model for professional sports facilities. But he only focuses on Oakland. All right. Again, he only focuses on Oakland. Again, he only focuses on Oakland. I can find no evidence of him truly getting involved in a project anyplace else, even in California. All right. And he's had opportunities. For example, why didn't he get involved with the 49ers in Levi Stadium? Okay. Why didn't he get involved in Chase Center with the Warriors? Okay. Why didn't he get involved with the Earthquakes in San Jose? Has Dave Cavall ever heard about him before? Just wondering. All right. So he puts out this just blanket statement. My primary objective in the near term is to develop, deploy, and provide a private funding model for professional sports facilities. All right. And then again goes on to state his objectives, state that he's been involved in Sacramento with the city council and arena. And he says, he writes here, along with our arena and stadium projects, we're developing 2 LPGA golf tournament properties. I don't see any evidence of that either. Where? Okay. He says developing them, fine. They weren't built. All right. This was back in the mid-second decade of the 21st century. All right. So there's all this stuff here that it doesn't seem to check, because when you Google his name, as I did, you don't have any website that actually presents him as a developer, as you should expect that a developer would present themselves. And he has a curious interest in just Oakland. Subscribe to Zenny62 and bookmark oaklandnewsnow.com.